Hello, my name is Kyle Souza, and I'm a fan of Star Wars comics. We're going to talk about Star Wars Blood Ties, Boba Fett and Jango Fett. I will do my best to get some good artwork on the screen. I am just using a laptop camera, and I have this book digitally. It's about 100 pages long. I'm not just going to tell you what this book is about. I want to tell you why it's a great graphic novel. So hopefully you could tell, but I like the artwork in it. It's a very painted look, like brushed kind of look to it. I am very sorry about the quality and the lighting here. I'm not going to go in order with the pages because I'm not trying to give the story away here. But I always want to give credit where credit is due. Star Wars Blood Ties, Jango and Boba Fett. Script, Tom Taylor. Art, Chris Schalf. Maybe Schalf. Letters, Michael Heisler. And cover art, Chris Schalf. This is one of the books that was published by Dark Horse. You know, Star Wars books were published by Marvel, then by Dark Horse for a long time, and then now by Marvel again. So I want to give credit where credit is due because this is fantastic right from the get-go. Starting with, here we go, the opening scene of the story. It's fantastic. Alright, you've got Boba Fett there, surrounded by people, guns pointed at him. Later, you get some context for it. But for now, you just get this great scene. Again, fantastic artwork. And his words are, you know, he's surrounded, everybody wants him dead, I'm not afraid. And then you go to a way flashback, and it builds forward through some time jumps to this moment again, and then you see how it plays out. But in it, or in the movies, I should say, we kind of get a sense of Boba Fett, that he's this tough guy, that he's ruthless, you know, he got Han Solo, but really, Boba got fleshed out in the expanded universe. You know, he was introduced in the Star Wars Holiday Special that few people have seen, thankfully. Don't look for it. You can if you want to, but honestly, it's not good. It's not good. But I didn't hate it. I'll say that. Back to the book. Boba Fett really gets fleshed out in the media outside of the films. And this is one of those media where we get to see him. He is, you know, the strong silent type. He's the tough guy. He's feared. He's respected. He does his job. He's good at it. The things that we are told in the movie, basically, the things we're led to believe in the movie, but we don't get to see. Now we're getting to see it. And that's what I love so much about the books and the comics, that you get to see these things that we only have a hint of on screen. I'll go to the next one in here. All right. So as a young boy, Boba Fett is put up against a ballywag here, which is a ferocious, monstrous beast. You can see young Boba Fett down there at the bottom, him and Jango, and it's his father teaching him some stuff. And so you see that Boba Fett wasn't just a slow-grown clone of Jango Fett. He really was his son, and Jango wasn't just training his replacement. He was raising a child, and he was teaching him to not just be everything that he was, but to be better than he was. And he was kind of making a Jango 2.0, is what Jango was doing, but Boba Fett is his own person, and this book deals with that. You know, great comic books aren't just good artwork. They're not just funny. They're not just action-packed. They make you feel something. Any great media makes you feel something, and you feel things in this book. All right. Speaking of Jango Fett, isn't this a cool photo? I hope, or not photo, but picture. Cool piece of artwork there. Jango flying up between the buildings, blaster drawn on his jetpack. If you could see this, I'll put some pictures on my blog, some screenshots here. Definitely like I said, I want to give credit where credit is due because the artwork is fantastic and goes well with the story. Sometimes in comics, you unfortunately have an artist and a writer that don't seem to be on the same page of what they're trying to convey, and that's not the case here. Here, you have artwork that complements the writing and writing that speaks to the artwork. You have a lot of pages where just the balance in between words and images is fantastic. I'll get to one of those shortly, actually, where I think a lot is being conveyed different ways. Let's see. So here's one. This one's just here because it's Jango being Jango, right? He got asked to show ID that he was who he was, so he killed him. All right. No, that doesn't really take away from the story at all. It's not really important people that he killed, but that's the kind of person he is. That's the kind of father that Boba had. He's in this ship when this happens. This is what he's seeing. This is his childhood. And so this story about Boba growing up and becoming the man that he is gets informed by things like this. Of course, his big moment, which we saw in Episode 2 and gets recalled in the Clone Wars TV show anytime Boba's around, is the beheading of Jango Fett by Mace Windu. And I wish the light balance were better in here. There we go. Because this is a fantastic piece of artwork. You see young Boba there at the bottom between Mace's legs, inside that little alcove, inside that little cave, and watching his father die. In his words, he was murdered by a madman. That's how Boba saw the Jedi Order. You know, a Jedi, as far as he's concerned, Darth Tyrannus, comes to him, has Jango be the genetic imprint, the genetic model of their clone army, and then they turn around and kill him. You know, there's some nuances there, but Boba's also a child, and all he's seeing is these people are traitors, these people are barbaric, you know, they're beheading people, and they killed somebody he loved. Even when something like that is justified, when somebody takes something that you love, like this boy loved his father, you hate that person for at least a while. And it changes. It teaches you not to trust people. It teaches you that you have to protect yourself, and that's what Boba does. Is he lives up to that Jango 2.0. And so here's a panel with a lot of great artwork, and there's some words, but not a whole lot. And it's the Boba that we meet in the movies. Somebody's talking to him up at the top. What they say is not important, it's very little. And then he's down here, and he's just like, yes, me. Because they're like, Boba Fett. And he's like, yeah, basically. He's just saying, yep. So, man, a few words. That's what we get here. That's the Boba Fett that we know and love. Standing there, his Mandalorian armor, the braids coming down. You get to see his weaponry a bit, his equipment a bit in this book. They pull out different pieces. It's very cool. And it doesn't get too technical or anything like that. It's paced well. That's one thing. This story does cover from when Jango was a boy. I'm sorry, when Boba Fett was a boy, through his life quite a bit. I'm not sure exactly what year it ends in. But it is paced well. So let's see. Next is this one. You get to see another familiar face. Bosk is here. Now, this one has some small panels. This one has lots of words to it. But again, it's all balanced really well. You see 3 speech bubbles. I'm sorry this isn't showing up better. There we go. There's some. All right. So you can see there's actually a lot of words on this page, and there's 5 panels on this page. So it's quite a bit going on, and what this is conveying is that people who know Boba Fett respect Boba Fett, because he's running to some people who don't know him. They're not treating him respectfully. Bosk, another bounty hunter that is respected, known, been around a while. As we see in the Clone Wars, he knows Boba Fett going way back. He was established before Boba Fett. And Bosk is basically telling them, you guys don't mess with Boba Fett, you're going to die. You know, he will kill you. And so we see that while Boba Fett does say 3 of the words that are on this page, and everybody else is talking, he without having to talk a big game like some other people do, still is respected by his peers. So I just think a lot of information gets conveyed very succinctly in this book. And this is just because the lasers look cool. Not lasers, they're blasters. I actually have a thing about people calling them lasers in Star Wars, and I just call them lasers. So I'll go off on my little rant. They don't have laser guns in Star Wars. They have blasters, blaster pistols, blaster rifles, etc. They're blasters. They use energized condensed gas to shoot out a bolt, not a beam. It's a bolt, so it is not a laser. Those are phasers in Star Trek. These are, well, I don't know Star Trek well enough to actually say that definitively, so let me recant that statement, because I may be wrong there, sorry. But Star Wars guns are not laser guns. They're blasters. They shoot out energized gas. Anyways, these bolts from blasters look pretty cool on the page. You gotta see it in person to really appreciate it. It's very cool. This book answers a question. I don't want to spoil the question because it really does drive it home. And it really starts driving it home with this panel here, where we see Boba Fett dent in his helmet. We see this other guy that he's around. Both of them, they're kind of at a crossroads. I don't want to give anything away. It's a question about legacies, being who you're supposed to be, living a life that would make someone that you love proud. I don't want to, like I said, give away exactly everything. I'm not going to give away how it plays out, but I will say a big part of this, and because I said feelings are a big part of this, it deals a lot with his loss of his father and how that impacts his life. I know that's a weird thing to think about. It's like, oh, this is a Star Wars book. But in 100 pages, 99 pages including all the covers and credits and everything, they actually convey it quite well. How Boba Fett thinks about his father, how he feels about his father, what he wants his father to think of him. And so it's a really cool story. And again, it's got great artwork, which is always a draw for me. But I would definitely say check out Star Wars Blood Ties, Jango and Boba Fett. If you can, get it in print. If you can't, get it digitally, or if you just like digital, go with that. I've got lots of digital books. I actually got this one from a Humble Bundle for a Star Wars Humble Bundle that they had. I'll put a link to Humble Bundle beneath the video so that if they come out with more, they usually do a comic or manga book deal once a month. Very rarely is it stuff like Star Wars. They've only done that one time in the last 2 years. Very rarely is it mainstream titles like this. But anyways, this book is pretty cool. Like I said, it makes you think, makes you feel. It's about thoughts and feelings. It's not just funny, though there are some funny parts. There are plenty of funny parts. There's some outright jokes. Or, as Star Wars usually does it, they're kind of played low key. Where if you think about it, it's like, oh, that was funny. Not so much, a bit. There's not so many bits in Star Wars. It's more, oh, that situation was amusing. And it's not just action, though. There's a lot of action in here. There's 3 or 4 really specific sequences of action, say 4, that are really cool, and a couple of them are pretty intense. But it's all just handled well. So my compliments, as worthless as those may be, to everybody involved with making this book happen. And again, here's those credits so you can see the people that really should be thanked for this book. Check out thetalkinggeek.com. Thanks. Bye.